Yo, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I wasn't open that mouth. Sure that she's talking and open that mouth. If it say something, we going it out. And then it's something it out. And then it's got and it's part of this nothing.
And now from an undisclosed location, you are now tuned in to the Xander Effect with host Xander Dames.
What's up, everyone? Welcome to the Xander Effect. I'm your host, Xander Dames, along with my two cohorts here, my two co-hosts, and the lovely people that join me, Mr. Jeremy Miller. Jeremy, how you doing?
You called me lovely.
Well, you are silly. And of course, actually, I was more pointing towards...
I know.
You know, I mean, I'm glad that you think so. I mean, that's why I have to keep you happy. And we also have our wonderful, lovely, beautiful co-host, Lonni Rivera. Lonni, how you doing?
Hey, guys. What's up? Great to be back.
How's PA treating you? I know you're out there right now.
Yeah, actually, I'm broadcasting all the way from Pittsburgh, my hometown today. Had a gorgeous weekend. It was sunny and all the trees are turning. Today it's raining, but the Steelers, that's the big news around here, are 5-0.
We'll talk about that in a minute. Also, I did notice that because I'm stalking you on social media, Lonni, just so you know, as well as everybody else should be too. And I noticed that you're also doing, remote yoga sessions as well.
I am actually did a Zoom class yesterday that was really cool from where I'm staying in downtown Pittsburgh. It's pretty amazing. I had somebody in Albany, New York take my class, my regulars in LA who practice with me, and then I had someone up in Sacramento. So we were kind of all over the map yesterday.
Nice.
That's really awesome. I have a lot of friends who've had to adapt like that. A lot of gym owner friends, CrossFit buddies, things like that. And it's really cool to see everybody adapting to, the challenges we're facing and, helping keep their teaching going.
Mm-hmm. It's been, there's nothing like being in the studio, I have to admit, and
of course,
just, being with other people. But it's nice. I feel like as an instructor, it definitely challenges us and makes us stronger, because we have to be very specific about how we describe how to do something, because you're not there in person with the person anymore.
Yeah, I always need definitely extra instructions on telling me what to do, because it's just, I get confused very easily, as it was pointed out over this weekend. I'm not gonna go ahead and go anywhere else other than that. We'll talk about that later on too. But Jeremy, you also had a pretty busy week last week as well, right? Like, didn't you have signings with or had a virtual meet and greets or something like that with the Peanuts gang?
Actually, yes. This last week we had the first ever and largest virtual signing for the Peanuts gang, and it was actually quite successful. It was a lot of fun. A lot of people don't know I did the voice of Linus for Peanuts for almost 3 years when I was younger, and it's just an amazing fraternity to be a part of. And all of us sitting around, a lot of the former voiceover actors and actresses still do a lot of the comic book conventions and things like that. And since the lockdown, we haven't been able to do anything like that. And yes, there's a money consideration. A lot of people do make some extra money that way, but it's also a time for us to get out and get to interact with our fans and get to talk to people who really loved the shows and really loved the Peanuts gang. And this was just an opportunity to reconnect with all of those fans. It was really awesome.
No, that's really cool, dude. That's really cool. And I gotta remember, did you do the Great Pumpkin?
No, the Great Pumpkin was unfortunately before my time. I believe that was the original voice of Linus, which is the reason I got the part. Lee Mendelsohn and Bill Melendez were the producers who did the Peanuts gang shows. Okay. And Lee was the one who hired me on the spot when I auditioned. He came in and told my mom and I, "You sound the most like the original voice of Linus that I've ever heard. And they basically hired me right there. It was just awesome. I mean, as a kid, it's Peanuts. It was the coolest thing to be. I was already a huge fan, and to be a part of that as a kid was just the coolest thing ever. And it's still one of the things I'm the most proud of. And we had.
Who does Snoopy's voice? Not to interrupt, but who does Snoopy's voice?
Well, most of them, if you remember, didn't really have a voice for Snoopy. A lot of it was more just him kind of doing his inner. I believe, I could be wrong on this, but the musical, the hour-long Snoopy musical TV special was one of the ones that I did record. And I believe that was one of the first ones they gave Snoopy a voice for. And the gentleman who did his voice was a man named Cam Clark, who is one of the most accomplished voice and animation actors in the. I mean, you want to talk about a laundry list of credits. He was an amazing voice actor, still is. I believe he's still working. Wonderful man, sweet as could be, and it was a real pleasure to get to work with him for the extended period we did when we did the musical, because there was so much training and so much practice and so many things that went into doing the musical. I think we spent probably 3 times the amount of time and days on it as we would one of the normal specials.
Nice.
Very cool. I was obsessed with Snoopy, by the way, Jeremy.
Oh, I love it.
Oh, so was I. I was actually, it was funny because my parents, they took me to Knott's Berry Farm here in Southern California. And when I was a kid, I still have pictures of when I was a kid and checking out Snoopy and the Peanuts gang and everything. I was like so excited to meet him and everything when I was a kid. Man, I mean, I definitely was a Peanuts fan when I was a child. I even had like this little like thermal, I guess, this little like red thermal with Snoopy on it and everything. Yeah, when I was a kid, like a little canteen. It was really cool. But it was. I was a fan. I think I still have that canteen too. That actually might be worth a little bit of cash, to be honest. It's from the '80s and everything. So, but I definitely liked it. And then when you told me you were the voice of Linus, I was like, get the F out of here! Are you serious? You're the voice of Linus? You were the voice of Linus? No.
Most of my friends never even knew. It wasn't something I really talked about. It wasn't a conscious decision, but I mean, because it was just my voice, I mean, my friends didn't recognize it. They all knew I was on Growing Pains. They knew the other stuff I did because it was my face along with my voice. But yeah, many, many, many people that I even grew up with who I knew during the time I was doing it had no clue that I was voicing Linus at that point.
Wow.
You have a very distinct voice, though, Jeremy. That I have to say,
Don't blow up his head. Don't do that. Don't.
She said distinct. She didn't say good.
Oh, I thought. Well, okay. Yeah, he has a very distinct voice. I mean, distinct voice.
Yeah. You feel the love, folks.
Well, no, I mean, no. Jeremy definitely has some talent somewhere. We're still trying to figure out where exactly. I think he's still trying to figure it out too.
Thank you.
But anyways, well, I'm glad that we're back. I mean, we took a little bit of week off because we had a few things going on. We had Jeremy had to go ahead and get his hair plugs, put back in his hair. They fell off for about 2 seconds.
Hair plugs? No, I had the butt hair transplanted.
I didn't say where the hair fell off of. But hey, you brought it up. Okay. So
dude, I'm not trying to be mean at all, but the time we were doing the show when we were doing Growing Pains was really the beginning of the hair plug era. When that began, and they were so bad when they began. I mean, I have to tell you, as a kid,
who had hair plugs? Who had hair plugs?
Well, honestly, it was none of the big stars that you would see. Okay. I honestly, my belief is that because they were so bad back then, most of the big celebrities who needed it usually paid for the really expensive hair pieces, because those really look good when you pay for when you really pay for them. But the plugs were so bad at the time. I mean, you honestly looked like like a child's doll. You remember how a child's doll's head looked with
Like
just
Chucky? Like Chucky?
yes, like those tufts just coming out in you saw literally the plugs. I mean, it looked like somebody planted hair on these people's heads.
You just want to pull one out to see if it hurts or something.
It was insane because it was, you're talking about a clump of hair that's put in a plug.
Oh my
so I mean, if you
God.
look at if you're unfortunate enough to get the right eye line to look at the actual scalp, it was really bad looking early on. They've of course gotten better at the technology and everything else.
Was
It looked more
this
natural
before the
but
spray hair?
I believe this was right around the same time as the Ron Popeil, spray-on hair stuff. And honestly,
it would be so painful. It has to be painful.
I'm sure the recovery could not have been fun. I mean, I know they put you out when they do it, and it was a full surgery, but I can't imagine the recovery was very easy. But yeah, it just looked so awful. And as a kid, it was so hard not to stare. It was. I mean, you're a kid. It was so difficult because it looked like looking at a human Barbie doll or Ken doll. I mean, it was
that's just eerie.
It was very strange, and I'm glad they've gotten better at the process.
It just when I hear you say that you can't stop staring, it reminds me of Austin Powers, when he's like pointing at the mole. He's like, "Mole, mole." In your case, you're like plugs.
It was making me think of Scrubs with the hot coffee episode.
Oh,
hello,
that's right.
Hello, Splotchy.
That's right. Oh Lord, yeah, you gotta love it. But the thing is that the spray on hair kind of got me too, because it's like, really, that's just spray paint in a can. That's all it is. Just go ahead and get yourself.
It's just non-toxic,
Exactly. Like, what the hell are you guys thinking? Oh Lord, the stuff that people came up with. I swear, it's like, dude, you might as well just go ahead and like surgically put Velcro on your head. And just put just do that. You might as well just do that instead of hair plugs. You'll have a lot better. It'll be better for you.
Let me ask Lonni real quick. Lonni,
Sure.
we have to have a woman's opinion here.
Sure.
Now, given not every person can pull off bald,
Yeah.
but as a woman,
Mm-hmm.
would you rather see a man, losing his hair with going natural, or
With such a dignity,
with a certain amount of dignity, or and again, I'm not criticizing anybody who has it done, but from a woman's perspective, what would you find more attractive? Somebody who got the job done and maybe it's not up to par, or someone who's just kind of letting nature take its course.
I really do feel for some men when it comes to losing your hair, because I really do believe, and this is both for black men and white men, it depends on the shape of your head.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes some guys lose their hair and their head shape is so different that I can see how they would feel insecure about it. And I can see how they would want to hold on to something, on top. So if you have the money to get it done, and you can get it done in the right way, if that's possible, then I feel for them. Overall, though, for me, I do like hair. I'm going to be honest. I like a nice head of hair, but it's not a deal breaker. A guy who can rock his bald head and shave it and wear it and be confident in it, I applaud that. Probably more than anything, but I know that it's a process. I have a friend who rocks his bald hair now, but it didn't start off that way. He was holding on to every bit he could. Finally he had to let it go. So I really feel for the guys who are bald and their head shape isn't the most ideal shape, because not everybody's a Michael Jordan or let me think,
Stone Cold Steve Austin.
Yeah, The Rock. There's some guys who look better bald. I'm gonna be honest.
Absolutely true. And
who just have the swag. They can just carry it, But I really do feel like it's just the confidence about it,
Well, you brought up a good point there. I've never been a big fan of, plastic surgery, all that kind of stuff, unless unless you're doing it for you.
Right.
You know, if you're doing it for you, for your own confidence, there's something that you've just always wanted to feel better about, then I really have no problem with that, you know. I've had female friends who've had, you know, breast augmentation. I've had.
Why haven't you not introduced them to me?
Shut up. I'm just saying. You are such a pig. We are talking about
I was interested. I was interested to see what the procedure was like, what the process was like, how the recovery was like. Exactly. God.
That's my bad for thinking so poorly of you.
Jeez, what are their names?
But truthfully, it's something that I've had a lot of friends who've done it for many reasons, and the ones who've ended up happy with the changes 20 years later did it for themselves.
I mean, here in LA, it's just commonplace, really.
Oh, dear Lord,
I remember when I first came out to Los Angeles, and I'll just in full transparency, I haven't had any work done yet, but talk to me in 10 years from now. I might, you know. But I remember when I first came out here, and I remember someone coming up to me. I've had a couple people come up to me and wanted to know if my nose was real.
Oh my!
And that was the funniest thing to me.
Only in LA.
Yeah, they were like, "Is your nose real?" I was like, "Yeah, I've had this nose my whole life. It's real."
Oh my God! Did it hurt when they had the procedure done? No, it's mine. No, it's mine. Okay, it's like I hate to sound like the seagull from freaking Finding Nemo. Mine.
Yeah, that was just the funniest thing to me, you know. That and then at one time I had on Instagram, I had a couple of plastic surgeons following me. And I thought it was interesting because I've heard that a lot of times, and I don't mean this in a narcissistic, egotistical way, but I've heard that sometimes they'll find pictures of various people that, you know, so that they have something to model it after when they change somebody's nose or change something on them. And so that's why sometimes they'll look at different people too. But I mean, I have to give it to them. That plastic surgery show, I can't think of the name of it.
Which one?
Exactly. There's so many. Now. The two doctors who are like really graphic, like they show everything. I can't watch that show. But I mean, I have to say, man, the work that they do sometimes is just amazing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as, in all seriousness, as far as plastic surgery goes, my whole thing is that, you know, I'm with Jeremy on that one, that if you feel that you need to improve something to make, you know, yourself feel have a little bit more, you know, like give yourself a little bit more of that confidence boost that you need, go ahead and do so. I've got no issues with that, you know. Just go ahead and do what you got to do. I'm not a person to judge. I'm never anybody that's going to judge you for anything that you do.
Oh, sorry.
Wow. Okay, that was so harsh. I'm hurt.
Oh, it must just be me you're so judgmental with.
Exactly. God. I carry nothing but a freaking gavel around with you.
Okay, just making sure.
Everybody else I don't do that with. Jesus. It's only with the ones I love. Or hate, whichever one. So anyways, no, but seriously, like I said, I'm not here to go ahead. I'm no one to judge you, you know, so do what you gotta do, you know. But yeah, it's definitely a crazy world out there full of plastic and fake, and LA is, I guess, the mecca of all that. So I mean, you know, we got to live with it. But speaking of the entertainment industry, you got a few things to chat with everybody about today, including in entertainment news. China topples North America and world's biggest film box office market. We'll talk a little bit about that. In sports, the Dodgers. Let's go Dodgers. They are going to the World Series. Very, very happy about that. We'll talk a little bit about that in sports. And in video game news, NBA 2K21 is quietly adding ads in their loading screens. Not too happy about that, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is Analise Hoveyda's Aftertaste, right here on the Xander Effect.
No feeling sorry for half the things that we did. Know that in my style, and you're too hard to quit. When I try to save myself from messing with my own head, come down from the height and tell myself these things. Don't get emotional, addicted to the sweet pain. Good hearts make bad mistakes, sometimes too. I try not to lose control, I'm tongue-tied anyway. I know I can't escape the aftertaste of you. The aftertaste of you. Let's make a night that will savor. Tomorrow I'll regret it. Maybe 5 minutes on, you'll already forget. Yeah, I know that I'm weak for love, and you're too proud to beg. I come down from the height and I tell myself these things. Don't get emotional, addicted to the sweet pain. Good hearts make bad mistakes, sometimes too. I try not to lose control, I'm tongue-tied anyway. I know I can't escape the aftertaste of you. The aftertaste of you. You're so sweet, bon appetit. You make me scream, yeah, you make me scream. I don't care, the flavor of the week is good enough, yeah, good enough for me. Don't get emotional, addicted to the sweet pain. Good hearts make bad mistakes, sometimes too. I try not to lose control, I'm tongue-tied anyway. I know I can't escape the aftertaste of you. The aftertaste of you.
Hey yo, sweet world, what's good with yourselves? This is your boy Twizm White Piece, and guess what? You're listening to that super saucy show known as The Xander Effect. So make sure you tune in, turn up, and turn out for my boy Xander. You feel me?
The Xander Effect.
You did. Ring, 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 how you doing, Miss Lady? I'm glad I caught up with you for a minute, cause you really drive me crazy. And no, I'm not playing, yes, I'm thinking of you lately, day and night, non-stop daydreaming, baby. And I cannot help but think it should be me, making you smile. And I cannot help but think it should be us for a while, maybe longer. I'd be honored if we'd hit Baskin Robbins for some ice cream and some cool conversation. I ain't playing, take my hand, I'm just saying, cause you smelling just like ice cream. Lips taste like ice cream, addicted to your taste like ice cream. And girl, I swear you melt my heart just like ice cream. Shawty so sweet, just like ice cream.
Caramel.
Yes, I use my lips just like ice cream.
Vanilla.
Swag so hot, melt your game just like ice cream. Step up in the club, ice cold just like ice cream. Yo, I will not front, yes, I got big dreams. And no, I will not lie, making noise on a big scene. Keep my charm fresh, pretty boy so clean. And no, you cannot hate addictive just like ice cream. Man, I will not front, yes, I be too sweet. Melt your heart, sugar like swag, yes, that's me. Keep this game raw, sell it out just like ice cream. And no, you cannot hate addictive just like ice cream. Give me just one moment and I'll steal your damn heart.
That's mine.
Give me just 1 second and I'll leave my damn mark.
Right here.
Man, I'm really not playing in this game for eternity.
All the
I
way.
swear I'm off the chain. So surprised you have not heard of me. My swag is so heavy, mainstream. I am so ready. Haters really cannot face me. Smoking green daily, I'm so hazy. Man, I go and put my heart up to the world. They need to chill out. Go into the world. Put your hearts up, love each other now. Man, it's so crazy. Put a word up in it. Yeah, she call me baby. Man, I'm so tasty. This thrilling vanilla drive you crazy. Man, it's so crazy. Put a word up in it. Yeah, she call me baby. This thrilling vanilla drive you
But
crazy.
it's so sweet, just like ice cream.
Caramel.
Yes, I use my lips just like ice cream.
Vanilla.
Swag so hot, melt your game just like ice cream. Step up in the club, ice cold just like ice cream.
Yo, I will not front, yes, I got big dreams. And no, I will not lie, making noise on a big scene. Keep my charm fresh, pretty boy, so clean. And no, you cannot hate addictive just like ice cream. Man, I will not front, yes, I be too sweet. Melt your heart, sugar like swag, yes, that's me. Keep this game raw, sell it out just like ice cream. And no, you cannot hate addictive just like ice cream. Yo, I will not front, yes, I got big dreams. And no, I will not lie, making noise on a big scene. Keep my charm fresh, pretty boy, so clean. And no, you cannot hate addictive just like ice cream. Man, I will not front, yes, I be too sweet. Melt your heart, sugar like swag, yes, that's me. Keep this game raw, sell it out just like ice cream. And no, you cannot hate addictive just like ice cream.
Shawty so sweet, just like ice cream.
Caramel.
Yes, I use my lips just like ice cream.
Vanilla.
Swag so hot, melt your game just like ice cream. Step up in the club, ice cold just like ice cream.
Strawberry.
That was Twizm White Pieces Ice Cream right here on the Xander Effect. Got a few things to chat about in entertainment news involving China toppling North America as world's biggest film box office market. But Jeremy, during the break, you actually brought up a topic that just piqued my interest right now about see-through toilet seats in China.
Okay, so
What in the world? Ew.
I found this story on NPR.org, and yeah, I don't know if you know much about Japanese bathrooms, but the Japanese, being as technologically advanced as they are, have the most insane bathrooms you've ever seen. I'm talking.
So wait, this is in Japan, not in China.
Well, it's these. They start in Japan and they start to spread throughout Asia.
Ah.
All the technology for these bathroom things that they come up with, it all starts there, and if they get popular, it starts to spread.
Oh, it's kind of like New York, like the trends that started in New York, they spread over to Los Angeles afterward.
A little bit, yeah. It's more from a technology side because
Gotcha.
Tokyo does tend to be the forefront of that.
Gotcha.
Anyway, I mean, we're talking heated bathroom seats that lift for you, and I mean, just all sorts of insane stuff. But
Easy.
a architect has come up with a rather interesting idea for public toilets, because two of the things most people worry about when they especially are going into a public toilet in a park or a rest area or whatever is there anybody in there?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the truth. If you've ever stopped at you've ever walked into a public restroom on the beach or a park or a campground or whatever.
Yeah, because a lot of crimes happen in public restrooms.
Absolutely. And that is one of the things that definitely crosses most of our minds, as well as the cleanliness. Yeah. I mean, how nasty is it going to be when we get in there? And this architect decided, well, let's fix that. We're going to make transparent public restrooms. So the walls are quite literally transparent. You can completely see through them. You can see that they're clean. You can see if anybody's in there. You can see everything until you step into one of the designated stalls. Then the walls turn opaque and a slight pastel color, and you can no longer see directly through.
I've seen that on. That's crazy. I've seen that actually in one of the new. I think it's the new BMW or the new Mercedes. They have something similar to that in their windows, where or their sunroofs, where they push a button and suddenly it goes from being see-through to, like you said, opaque. It turns dark, and it gets tinted. It's an automatic tint that happens. So I'm assuming that they're doing the same thing for these stalls then.
A similar thing. It's not really darkening. It's just turning, it's turning more of that opaque, cloudy color, and it takes on a certain pastel shade that makes it impossible to see through. But if you look at the pictures, when that is not activated, these things are 100% see-through. It looks like clear glass.
Wow.
God, could you imagine?
That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, but could you imagine if that thing malfunctions and you're in the middle of doing number 2? I mean,
well, we all spent how long going to the airports with the fully nude scanners, so I mean, we've already given up on
yeah, but that looking like a deer in the headlights, like and then all of a sudden,
because you have to assume if it goes see-through from one side, it'll go see-through from the other. So if you're sitting there, you're gonna know if it malfunctions.
No, you know what that reminds me of? That reminds me of that episode of The League where he goes into his boss's bathroom when he's taking a dump, and he's like, "Look at me, look at me!" Look at my eyes. Yeah, you like that, right? While he's taking a dump.
You're a very disturbed man.
That's what it reminds me of. I swear, dude, that's what popped into my head right there. Like, all of a sudden the thing malfunctions and you see somebody in the stall next to you, like, "Hey, look at my eyes. Yeah, go ahead." That'd be something I'd do to you, Jeremy.
What I would not just since you're going there, Xander, I'm wondering too, are they soundproof? Because we all know we've been in the bathroom and you try your hardest not to listen to who's in the stall next to you, but you can't help but to hear it, and
Does that happen in women's bathrooms, or are they more proper and trying not to like?
Oh yeah! Oh my God! I tell guys all the time that guys' bathrooms sometimes are cleaner than women. You'd be surprised.
I have heard that from a few friends.
That's crazy. I never knew that. That's wow. The things you learn every day. I swear. We just learned about see-through bathrooms and how women's bathrooms are dirtier. That's awesome. Well, thank you for that piece of information there, Jeremy. I'm sure that
it was a little interesting.
And you know what? I'm sure that's going to cross over here eventually. I mean,
if it works, honestly, it's a great idea. I mean, we have had so many horrible stories about crimes taking place in situations like that. There has been, crimes against children, just all sorts of different things. So if that rectifies that situation, I can only see it becoming popular, worldwide.
Definitely.
Yeah. No, that's definitely something interesting. And well, I mean, here's hoping that it actually does, because that's a good idea for us to have that over here. I mean, I'm not sure if I'd be able to use the bathroom like that, because I've always been scared.
I think it'll take time. It'll take time for people to get used to it.
Yeah, because I'd always be scared that the damn thing would malfunction while I'm in the middle of my business, and suddenly, I have you standing next to me and be like, "Dude, really?" I'm like, bro.
I'd just be waiting outside for it to malfunction so I can laugh and point.
That's my worst nightmare. Thanks for pointing out my worst nightmare. Anyways, well, thanks for that, Jeremy. In entertainment news, China, and here's a topic that you're actually very familiar with, Jeremy, because you know this market pretty well. China has officially overtaken the North American box office market. They went ahead and surpassed North America's box office records by about 50 million. And it's going it recorded a total of 1.988 billion in its year-to-date box office sales, And, on October 18th, they exceeded North America by a total of 1.937 billion. I mean, that's a significant amount. And they're estimated that it's going to continue to be that trend over the next or until the end of the year. And part of it has a lot to do with what's going on with the coronavirus pandemic, is what a lot of experts are saying that it has a lot to do with. So that's just crazy. That's just crazy to even hear that. That's just insane.
Well, if their numbers are accurate, I mean, this is just me being skeptical, because you never know where the information is coming from. But if it is accurate, they were saying that because they seem to bounce back from the COVID-19 sooner than everybody else, it would make sense that their economy overall, has seen some growth. So it would make sense, if it's true, that the movie industry would. What are your thoughts, Jeremy?
There's a lot of factors that go into this. There really is. The coronavirus and COVID thing is definitely a factor in that, as you just said, yes, they seem to have bounced back and their economy has bounced back faster. Now, given it's much easier to get a citizenry to behave when you have the ability to send armed people who will shoot to say, stay the fuck in your house.
True.
I mean, I'm just being, no, I'm not saying that, I want us under that kind of system, but the fact is, if you have something that can be slowed by people not being together, well, living somewhere where they can force you to do that is going to get that under control quickly. And they had the benefit of that. Now, beyond the COVID thing, you got to understand how the movies have been booming out there for a while now. When I first started going to China, I was only 14 years old. So as of tomorrow, that will be 30 years ago.
Wow.
Yay.
Your birthday is tomorrow? Happy birthday.
Yeah, it is.
Wait a minute. I thought it was the 21st.
Tomorrow's the 21st.
Tomorrow's the 20th.
It is?
Yes.
Oh.
This guy. This guy. Well, you are getting older. It's okay.
Yeah. See, the mind's the first thing to go. But when I first started going over there, it was 30 years ago, there was it was still an incredibly rural country. Uh-huh. Even in Shanghai, which was, the bustling economic center of China, it's still, there were no highways. People were still walking everywhere. You still saw carts everywhere. There was the rare movie theater showing something from 2 years ago from, outside of China. I started going back about 10 years ago. There was about a 15 to 16-year break, and I started going back, and all of a sudden, the whole place had changed. All of a sudden, there's highways everywhere. Everybody's commuting. It's very westernized. Wow. There's more entertainment. You're seeing more theaters popping up. You're seeing more dance studios, more things of culture and of westernized entertainment.
That's odd too for a country that's under communist rule too.
Right.
Well, here's the thing. And again, I'm getting into a whole economic thing here, but China changed the way they do business about 20 years ago, and people didn't realize it because they did it very quietly and they kept everything, kind of under wraps. They hired the best and brightest of their young Communist Party members to study what went wrong with Russia. And at the end of their study, they came to the conclusion that there were two things. One, they had to start adopting a more Western style of commerce. And they did. They actually began more actual free trade. They started putting free trade cities in China where there was no extra taxes, where there were actually benefits for companies coming in, doing more business, where they did not have to hand over 50% of their profits to the communist government, all this kind of stuff. They changed the way they did business completely and modeled it after us. They didn't tell anybody. Then it was, so they had that, but also they saw that Russia democratized. They gave people the vote. Now, given it's been changed and the powers that be have changed I'm sorry to say it, but Putin has, basically stolen the last few elections and does all the things that fascist governments do, and that they, control the voting so that they stay in power. But, and that was not a commentary on anything else. I am talking about that. But those were the two things they came to the conclusion of. And ever since then, they started implementing all those things. They've kept a tighter control publicly, a more visual communist regime, a more tight, this is the way we do things, while under the surface, they really westernized the way they did business. So you've had more international stuff coming in. You have more international firms. You have more international production and entertainment. It's all been flowing in there at record amounts for the last 15 years. So they never had these movies. They never had access to all of this. You didn't have, movie theaters in smaller towns. You didn't have access. And these things are popping up everywhere in a place where the population is almost triple ours.
Right. They have more people, so that makes sense.
So, they're even just catching up with us in numbers of movie theaters with just based on their population. Their numbers can get infinitely higher than ours.
Is there such a thing as capitalist communists?
Well,
that's what it's sounding like right there.
Well, the thing is, that's kind of how they started doing business. They didn't go full capitalist, but they did to a degree. They have kind of a hybrid system going, and it's why their economy started bouncing back as strong as it did.
I guess
they were very smart in the way they went about it, because they kept the illusion of the, rigid communist structure of doing business. And the truth is, that's not it at all. They're completely westernized now.
And so I guess they're the personification of the old phrase, money talks, bullshit walks.
I would say so. And truthfully, they don't put up with much bullshit out there. I'll tell you that.
Well, so far seems like they're definitely doing something right, because they're killing it right now in box office scores. Let
me tell you, this is just from somebody who has been there and has talked to the business people, the people on the street. Now, given I have not had a lot of direct dealings with the politicians and stuff like that, but I do have a general sense of the mindset and the way they look at it. And I can tell you that no matter what the media or the politicians want to tell you, China is a very different animal as a communist country than Russia. Okay, Russia has had a stated goal since the beginning of wiping us out.
Yep.
We are complete diametric opposites, and it has been an actual goal of theirs to wipe us off the planet at some point. China has never viewed us like that. Now, they, just like us, have some hawks in their military and in their politics who would rather they go about that. But China as a whole never really viewed us that way.
They're competitors.
That's exactly it. That's how they have always viewed us, as an economic rival, as a competitor who they want to best. And yes, they want to show that they're better than, but they've never had that diametric opposition where it's been like, we cannot exist if they do. They've never viewed us like that. And the media and the politicians want to convince us that that's how China sees us. Now, maybe they have a few people in power or in politics who do. We have our own hawks who'd like to see us bombing everybody and taking over everything. They would love to return to the days of colonialism and everything else. But that doesn't mean that us as a country view it that way. And the truth is, the general attitude amongst people of power, I was dealing with very powerful people who could pick up the phone and get government officials to listen to them in seconds. And the general attitude has never been one of, it's never been an adversarial, attitude. It's never been, these people are our enemy. Mm-hmm. And that's something people really need to understand, because as much as we are opposed, and yes, there are many things that I do not agree with that their country does. You know, the religious oppression, the re-education camps, all that kind of stuff. But the truth is, as economic rivals, we are better competing with them and driving ourselves to be better than we are trying to bring them to their knees.
Yeah, and you know, hopefully this will be something that we need in order to start improving what we have to in this in our economy. I mean,
let's throw it back to this. I mean, it's one of the largest markets in the world right now, and there is a reason why so many projects are taking into account what the worldwide and what the Asian market return will be. Mm-hmm. If you couldn't guarantee somebody, you know, 100 million return on an American project, they weren't interested. And now you can say, yes, this might not connect with our American audience, but guess what? This connects here, and look at the type of numbers we can offer you.
Mm-hmm. Well, like I said, you know, I mean, this is something that hopefully our country will go ahead and realize and start making some changes, some vast changes. I mean, again, we're right now in a very tumultuous time of year, which is election year. So there's going to be changes, you know, in our communities, in our states, and our entire country that you know, we the people are going to have to go ahead and reevaluate come November. So, you know, again, I can't stress this enough. Go and vote. This is something that you need to do. You have the right. Many people died for our rights to vote, and you need to go and vote. It's something that needs to happen. And this message goes out also to the younger voters, obviously, and also to even those that can't vote just yet. Maybe their birthday is a month after the election, but educate yourself on the issues in your local government. You know, educate yourself on the issues in our country. Educate yourself. Ask questions. Ask your you know, the people that are in charge questions that need to be asked. You know, make sure that you get out there. You understand what you're trying to vote for.
Can I soapbox for 1 second?
Huh?
Can I soapbox for 1 second?
Well, hold on. Let me just finish this point real quick. This past weekend, I finished watching The West Wing. And the Western reunion that we talked about a couple of weeks ago, beautifully done, by the way. The entire show is basically dedicated to our right to vote. And in between scenes, instead of commercials, they had different people, you know, Michelle Obama, Bill Clinton, Samuel L. Jackson, a bunch of different figures that pretty much told us how important it is to vote. And one of them was two of the actors of the original series, and they asked different questions. They said, you know, do you care about what job you're going to get? Then you care about politics. Do you care about education or college? Then you care about politics. Do you care about the well-being of other people? Then you care about politics. So this is the reason why you need to go and vote. Do you care about where you're going to, you know, if you get sick, what's going to happen? Then you care about politics. These are all reasons why you need to go and vote. And that's why it's so important to go ahead and make sure that we get out there and we do our part. So,
absolutely.
Right. You can't complain unless you're actually exercising your voice and definitely voting. It's that simple.
Absolutely. And, you know, people get out there and vote no matter where you are in your beliefs, your political leanings, everything. Get out there and vote. We have to utilize this right. But here's another reminder, and it's something that we got to remember because we have never been more divided. I want to quote one of my absolute favorite comedians and a wonderful guy, Chris Titus, talked about this in a great special he did called Amerigeddon. And the truth is, we all have to get together to fix this bitch. That's it. The politicians aren't going to do it.
True.
They stay in office and do what they do by keeping us divided.
True.
Right.
But if we get together, MAGA hats, pink pussy hats, we all get together and figure it out and show up on their doorstep, they're the ones who are screwed.
Mm-hmm.
And we work out our issues and figure out that, oh, right, it's us against them, not us against us.
Mm-hmm. And it's the truth.
It really is the truth. We don't have to agree on everything, but we got to get along if we're going to make this work. Unless we want to go the way of all the great empires, we have to figure out a way to come together as a people again.
Mm-hmm.
And politicians have separated us. I don't give a damn what side you're on. They all do it. It's how they stay in office. You know, it's us against them mentality. And the fact is, us citizens, it is us against the politicians because they're not living by the same rules we live by. They do not live by the same economy we live by. They don't live by a single thing that anybody in this country knows as a reality. And yet we still depend on these people and are more loyal to them than our own friends and family and neighbors.
And that's true. And the thing is that we do have the power. Like we do have the power. And, you know, by having that power, I mean, let me put it this way. This past weekend, Cuomo went ahead and interviewed Ice Cube. Because Ice Cube
I saw that.
Yeah, he was getting backlash because he was supporting Trump, and Ice Cube.
Let's hold on. Let's rephrase that.
Well, I was going to get to that. Guys, I was getting there. Let me get there. What happened was that he clarified in the interview. He clarified and said, "I'm not supporting anybody. I'm not going for one or the other. Just so happens that the Trump camp got back to me than the Biden camp did. And all I want to do is I want to talk to the person that's in power. And right now, that's the president of the United States that's in power. I don't care who it is," he said. I don't care if it's Biden. I don't care if it's Trump. I don't care. As long as it's somebody in power that's going to give me an opportunity to share my platform with them. And that's the truth, because at the end of the day, we, the people, have that voice. We have that power to put that person in power and be able to speak to them and say, hey, these are the issues that need to be talked about. These are the issues that we need to know. I don't care what political affiliation you're with, just as long as you listen to my voice and you listen to the people's voice, because that's what's important right now. I don't care who you are. I don't care, what kind of politics you're playing. I don't care what propaganda you're putting out there. I don't care. As long as you're able to help fix this problem. That's all I care about. And that's pretty much what Ice Cube said. I loved that. I loved how he put, because Cuomo was trying to twist his words around. I saw that too. I hate it when journalists do that. But Ice Cube, he kept his cool and he's like, no, the media and everything are trying to go ahead and, mess everything up, twist my words around. No, that's not what I'm trying to do. That's not what I saw. And then the best part is that Cuomo started backpedaling. He's like, well, no, I just wanted to be sure I understand what's going on. It's like, yeah, you phrased that after you were trying to go ahead and put him under the bus. That's brilliant backpedaling right there by you. I don't like it when journalists do that. And the thing is that, in my opinion, I feel that they felt that, because he's a rapper, he's probably not intelligent, and I'll be able to go ahead and mess with his head and twist his words around and ask him a question that's going to go ahead and make him, put his foot in his mouth. Not even a little bit. You're dealing with an individual who is very intelligent and very passionate about the issues that are at hand, which is Ice Cube. I have a lot of respect for Ice Cube for that reason, because it doesn't matter who you are. He said it best. I only care about who's in power that's going to help me with what I'm trying to do right now. And that is what matters at the end of it all.
Dude, I couldn't agree more. I've told you I've been very involved in politics, and while doing Growing Pains, had the privilege of being involved with a lot of people in power. I've worked with people who were liberals, conservatives. I worked directly with Barbara Bush on her Education Now campaign for kids. I've worked with a lot of different people, and the truth is it doesn't matter political party or belief. It's about getting the right stuff done, and you should be willing to work with whoever can help do that. I very much respected what Ice Cube had to say, and you referenced Cuomo as a journalist, and he may have been filling that role at that moment, but he's not a journalist. He's a politician, and he was trying to twist Ice Cube's words like all politicians do, plain and simple. He's not a journalist. And the unfortunate truth is most people who call themselves journalists today, do exactly what he was doing.
He's more of a political analyst.
I feel like Chris and Don Lemon, just on the show, those two people, I mean, every program has their own bias. I feel like they kind of push the envelope as interviewers and taking things to fit whatever their viewpoint is. I mean, it is not like,
well, every news outlet does that. It doesn't matter if it's CNN or if it's Fox.
Some more than others, though.
Well, you know what, though, Lonnie? I mean, we can't really generalize that because it all depends on who's in office. Because remember, Fox is ran by Republicans and CNN is ran by Democrats. So, I mean, at the end of the day, if there was a Democrat in office, CNN is going to do nothing but praise this person, and Fox is going to bash this person. If it's the other way around, like it currently is, that's exactly what it is, because they all have a hidden political agenda. And, I mean, like right now you're seeing that off of CNN because because Donald Trump is a Republican and CNN is Democratic based. So they're going to bash him as much as possible to go ahead and make sure.
The same way Fox did with President Obama.
Exactly. It goes both ways.
It goes both ways.
One thing you and I have talked about over and over is the fair reporting in journalism. And I've talked about this with you. It's one of the reasons why I still follow the BBC a lot more closely than I follow any of our news outlets, because they still have laws in place that state you have to have fair and balanced reporting. It still has to give a true account of both sides. Both sides of the issue get equal airtime to make their point. That is still how journalism is done in the UK and on the BBC. Those laws are still in place. Unfortunately for us, in the 70s, a large cabal, for lack of a better word, of conservatives who were working under Nixon pushed forward laws that wiped that off the books in the United States. And ever since, we have had one-sided, completely biased journalism. And it's one of the things, sorry to cut you off, it's one of the things that makes me really respect certain journalists and newscasters who may be working for a biased news outlet, and yet they're still willing to point out the truth. They're still willing to point out the mistakes that their president or their candidate or whatever is making. The people on CNN and on the more liberal news media outlets, the ones who were willing to actually criticize Obama when he was wrong and bring up things that he did that were not right at the time, I respect that, and it made them stand out to me. The same way that right now, the reporters on Fox who are willing to call out President Trump for his mistakes, I respect that greatly. It has brought the people who still have journalistic integrity to the forefront.
I mean, you have people not
to cut you guys off or interject, where I can actually give Cuomo some credit, if you will. I don't remember. I'd have to go back and listen to the interviews because I heard bits and pieces of it. But I think he was just questioning Ice Cube about why he would even trust the Trump administration, why he would trust that if they got back to him, that meant that they were really considering him because of their track record. And so in that sense, I don't think that was a bad thing for him to question him like that.
Cuomo, he went ahead and started doing that after pretty much Ice Cube put him in his place. And he started backpedaling a little bit because he was like, okay, I'm dealing with somebody that actually can hold a intelligent conversation. And the thing is that like, touching back to what Jeremy said earlier, Cuomo's not a journalist per se. He's more of a political analyst. And that,
he was an attorney for a long time before he became
so he's going to be an analyst.
Yeah.
And the thing is that, I mean, it's crazy because, I mean, the Wolf Blitzer, I respect him as a journalist. Chris Wallace, I respect him as a journalist because they are journalists, like you said, Jeremy. They both still have journalistic integrity because look at Wolf Blitzer. He went ahead and questioned Nancy Pelosi as to why people haven't gotten their stimulus check yet. Right. And then you have Wallace that questions Trump as to, why, you're doing this and this is wrong what you're doing. They're both part of, a political network, a Democratic and liberal network, and yet they still ask the real questions. Like they're neutral. They remain, they had their neutrality, which is really good. They still have that a little bit. So
they strive for it.
Exactly.
Everybody has a bias, in my opinion.
Exactly. So, I mean, sorry folks that we got into political discussions here, but you can't right now, you can't avoid a political discussion right now. It's everywhere.
Hard not to.
It's very difficult not to. It's everywhere. And especially when we're talking about the economy, whether it's entertainment or any type of economy, it's still going to affect us. One way or the other, it's still going to affect us, and that's part of politics. Again, if you care about where your money comes from, you're interested in politics, go vote. That's the bottom line. So, let's get back to entertainment news here. In other entertainment news, Zachary Ty Bryan, who played the older brother Brad Taylor in the old 90s sitcom Home Improvement, was arrested on Friday night in Eugene, Oregon after neighbors called for help following a scuffle that he had at an apartment complex in the town. And basically the police came. They saw that Zachary was out front on a porch just sitting there across from where the victim was. The victim turned out to be a girlfriend that Zachary is with. And the victim claimed that Zachary allegedly put his hands around her throat and squeezed. So he basically was arrested, and he was charged with strangulation, 4th degree assault, and interfering with making a report because apparently he tried to take the victim's phone away from her and make sure that she didn't call the police or something to that effect. So he's still actually last anybody's heard, he's still in custody. They went ahead and did a mugshot, and let me tell you, his mugshot looks really creepy. He looks almost like he would be a serial killer. It's weird how he looks. He definitely doesn't look like the same person that we knew, the same actor that we knew, and that's a little tragic to hear something like that. I mean, the guy had a lot of potential. Obviously, Jonathan Taylor Thomas, he went a little bit bigger with his career, and I don't know where everything went south for him.
Well, I just read recently, and I don't know if this is, came from two pretty credible outlets, that he just recently announced his divorce from his wife, from the mother of his kids. So, not to get in his business, but maybe right now might be a time to sort of take a step back and reflect.
But was that his wife or his girlfriend?
The assault was with the girlfriend.
Yeah, the assault was with the girlfriend, but I read, and this is just in several articles today, that he just recently, this comes just weeks after he announced his divorce.
Yes, he ended, I believe it was a 14-year marriage very recently.
Yeah.
And, divorce is never easy, so who knows what his mindset is. But coming from that world and the struggles that a former child star faces, I feel for my old friend. I don't know where he's at mentally or what he's dealing with at the moment. it's just sad to see. And yes, that picture, that mugshot did bother me. Although let's walk it back from the serial killer look. He, as somebody who unfortunately has a couple mugshots, the things
I gotta see those.
Yes, I do. Unfortunately, yes, I do.
We have a rebel in our midst.
There are a couple out there.
I have one too, so it's not a big deal.
The thoughts that are going through your head, depending on the magnitude of what you are facing, that is something that you cannot control how that's going to make you look. The thoughts that are racing through your head in that moment when you have no idea what you're facing, when you realize how badly you have screwed up, it is a moment that you can't describe. It really is. So I can't take that as him being one way or the other, but he's obviously struggling with something right now. I hope that he has not had a predilection for abuse and things like this. Right. I hope this is a isolated incident in which he's been struggling with something, and I hope he gets some help. He was, we weren't best of friends, but I was on the set of Home Improvement a lot, and him and I were buddies, and it's hard to see, and struggling with the lack of success, struggling with whatever, finding his way. I don't know what he's dealing with. I haven't spoken to him in many, many years, but we can get really lost really quick.
I bet.
As young actors, we are not taught life skills. That's the one thing. It's not, there's lots of drugs and alcohol around. There's lots of yes men. There's lots of things that go into the behaviors that a lot of us show when we get out of the industry. But the biggest, in my opinion, has always been we're not taught life skills at all. And then most of us reach adulthood or dumped on our own, and then they go, all right, figure it out.
Right.
The things most people have learned over the last 8 years, 10 years of how to take care of themselves, how to just manage life, we grew up having people doing that for us. Whether it was our parents, our managers, our whoever, it was always taken care of for you.
Yeah. You've talked about this before, Jeremy, and I kind of liken it to like a young athlete, who gets a scholarship and then goes pro and never really, like you say, never really has to learn like life skills and social skills and how you're supposed to interact with people, because your entire life you've just been on this fast track to success and you've been successful, but yet you're never taught other things that you need to know along the way. So I feel for him. I definitely feel for his children.
Very much so.
He had a large family and they're pretty young. So, because it said that the most recent child was born in 2019 and then he's got twins too, who were pretty young. So my heart goes out to the kids because, with the age of social media right now, a picture of your dad posted on there, a mugshot, is not good.
No.
No, not at all. And going back to what you said, Jeremy, looking back at the picture, he looks like a little bit, in a sense, his facial expression is that of somebody that I can't believe this is actually happening. That kind of is what he looks a little bit, and I think that's probably what's going through, because as a person that also has a mugshot too, I have one too. At the time that it happened, I was kind of like thinking to myself, okay, what now? Luckily it wasn't anything serious. It was just something really stupid, but I didn't hurt anybody, nothing like that, but it was something that I was going to have to pay for financially, because it was, something that I did. And you ask yourself, how am I going to pay for this? How am I going to go ahead and do this? This is going to cost me a little bit, because it's, something that I caused. It was something that I did. And luckily, no one was hurt, but still it was something stupid. And
hey guys, I think I'm the only one of this trio without a mugshot. Just saying.
We'll give you time on that one. Don't worry about it.
Well,
hanging out with us, that will fix that.
Yeah, we can fix that quick. So let me give you a little transparency here. So I was picked up for DUI. That was my last mugshot. Hopefully my last ever. But that was my relapse. And at the time that happened, I was the spokesperson for the recovery program that had helped get me sober. And I had relapsed and I got a DUI, and I now knew this was going public. I knew that everybody I had tried to help would be losing faith in me. I knew that I would have to go to the people at the recovery clinic who I loved and respected and was so grateful to, and tell them that I had blown it and that I had, basically disgraced their program publicly. There was so many thoughts going through my head. I was so disappointed in myself. I was so ashamed. I was so despondent that I had let so many people down. It was a question of, where do I go from here? How do I even move forwards? There were so many messed up thoughts going through my head at that moment.
And you know what? I mean, full disclosure. I mean, as well, since Jeremy's being transparent, I'll be transparent. Likewise, my mugshot was due to a DUI as well. It's common. It's very common here in California. Unfortunately, it's very common here. And I wasn't even that bad. I was 1 point over the legal limit. And I was on the freeway.
0.1. If you were 1 point over the legal limit, you were well past. And
okay. 0.1 over the legal limit. There you go. If you want to be technical about it, but the thing is that, like, the way it happened to me is that I skipped a lane. I was on the freeway. I was actually on the 101, and the 101 where the 101 and the 134 meet. And that's a hot spot for California Highway Patrol. Mm-hmm. And I ended up skipping a lane to catch my exit. And that's where they got me. That's how they got me. And I was actually, again, I was intoxicated, but not so horrible that I was going to crash or anything. I was able to hold my own. Of course, that's
mitigating it.
Well, there's no excuse. There's no excuse, really.
Exactly.
I was stupid. I was stupid. Either way, I was stupid. So that was actually, in a sense, the wake-up call I needed to go ahead and get myself, get my head out of my ass and stop doing stupid things. And I never did it again. That was a lesson learned that I needed to learn. But when it happened, I was just like Jeremy said, you have so many thoughts going into your head about how many people you let down. And the thoughts that were going into my head was my mom. My mom, she was alive at the time. And I was just like, what is she going to say? What is she going to think of me? What is she going to do? My dad, we already had enough problems as it was. Here I come with a big problem, to their laps. And I was just so, like, all these things were going in my head. And it's so funny because I was one of the first people to be let out of the drunk tank, because I was actually very cordial with the arresting officers. I was actually making jokes because at that point I was like, well, why not? I'm already in here. Why not start joking around? I mean, when he was booking me, I went up to the booking officer and I'm like, excuse me, ma'am, don't believe anything this person's telling me. He stole my uniform. He's wearing my uniform right now. We changed clothes. I mean, he knocked me out. He's arresting me right now, but he's the one that's at fault. And he was just laughing. He's like, oh my god, this guy. He was like so cool to the point that he was going to be one of the first ones to be let go in the morning. I was like, thank you, I appreciate that. And true to his word, I was. But that entire time, because they had us in the drunk tank and then they transferred us over to the cells. And what?
I'm sorry, not to interrupt you, Xander. This is a serious thing, but the fact that you called it the drunk tank.
It's true, but that's what it was. That's what it does. That's what it was. Pretty much.
That is what they classify it as.
Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah.
that's exactly what they classify it as. And the thing is that when they that entire time, what felt like hours or what was just a few hours felt like days in there. Like it just felt like, and I was only in there for about maybe 3 hours, but it felt like I was in there for like 2 days because it was just such a long process. And the entire time you're just thinking about the stupidity that you just did. And you just couldn't stop thinking about it. And then you're thinking, okay, what next? Where do I go from here? What's going to happen next? I mean, all these thoughts are just going through your head. So, I mean, yeah, like I said, I feel for Zachary Ty Bryan. Obviously mine wasn't as serious, and neither was Jeremy's as serious as what he's going through right now, because we're talking about a physical assault, and those are pretty big charges. So, I hope that he doesn't get the book thrown at him or anything like that, and I hope that this experience, makes him has him come out the other side a better person. And, maybe this is the wake-up call that he needs to go ahead and maybe fix his life around. Who knows what he's going through. So, we'll just go ahead and see what happens with all that. In other entertainment news, Reese Witherspoon teases original Legally Blonde. It's a tongue twister. Cast reunion, and this is all to to raise money for the World Central Kitchen that they're working towards. She went on social media and she posted a video, and it said, quote, oh my God. Oh my God, you guys. she actually, this is the way I'm reading it, because she put, oh my God in, and she spelled it OHMIGOD, one word. So this is pretty much how it goes. Oh my God, you guys. It's a Legally Blonde reunion. We laughed, we cried, and we may or may not have done the bend and snap for old time's sake. Or, oh God, the bend and snap. I remember that. For the first time in 20 years, join me and the hashtag Legally Blonde cast tomorrow at 3:15 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on the @HelloSunshine YouTube channel. P.S. Don't you want to see if Elle and Warner finally make up? so that I gotta tell you guys, full disclosure on this one, I love that movie. I actually love that movie. It was very inspirational. I thought that Reese Witherspoon did an incredible job. Obviously, that she's another one of my many crushes that I have, because she's just so drop dead gorgeous. But she did an incredible job in that movie. I love that. I even love the sequel. I actually saw the sequel to it, and I was like, dude, this is a good movie. But definitely not as good as the first one. And this is really cool that they're doing kind of a reunion to the cast.
And all for a good cause. I have to say, I'd be more excited if you were announcing today that Big Little Lies was coming back for another season.
Oh God.
I love that project that she's involved in. Reese Witherspoon has her hands in a lot of really cool things.
Yeah, she really does.
And I really love Little Fires Everywhere, another show that she produced and starred in on Hulu. So if you were saying that those were coming back right now with something new, though everyone's saying that they will, I'd be even more excited. But I definitely will watch.
Well, that's definitely that's I think Reese Witherspoon is an incredibly talented actress, and she definitely knows, she has an eye and an ear for innovation. So, and proof is in the stuff that she's involved in right now. Well, so yeah. I mean,
look at a lot of great actors and actresses have moved beyond into production and the creative side of it. Look at Drew Barrymore. She was one of the first of this generation to really step aside and start making all her own films, starting all her own projects. And these are not even projects that she's acting in. You know, she's producing films, TV shows, all sorts of different projects that are things that she's not even, people don't even know she's a part of because she's behind the scenes. It's a really awesome time for a performer right now to have those options. And if you have the creative ability, you have the connections, and you have the finances behind you, you can really do something. And Reese, you know, as we've seen, she's had a knack for bringing things that people are going to find intriguing and that people are going to connect with.
Yep.
Agreed. And this is definitely for a good cause. So this will go ahead and take place tomorrow. So make sure you go ahead and check that out on YouTube and go ahead and support. Feel free to support. It's for a good cause. So, you know, definitely go ahead and check that out. Coming up next in sports, the Dodgers make the World Series and Cody gets a dislocated shoulder. We'll talk a little bit about how that all happened. But first, here is Zakeida's Poison right here on the Xander Effect.
I've been high before, but man, this hoe's got me hurting. I've been going through some shit, yeah, I got emotions. Took a look at her, damn, she be deeper than the ocean. Saw my wrist dance, yeah, she like the motion. Going up and down, she a roller coaster. Yeah, she want the drugs, we gon' end up in the ocean. Know she got her motive, pop another pill, now we both be rolling. Whoa, know these people want you in a halo. Yeah, these words, they hit you like a Draco. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. There's just been some things that I can't avoid. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. There's just been some things that I can't avoid. Feels like I'm looking for ghosts, chasing the sound of your voice. I'm alone on the road. I go back to the times I was alone, sleeping outside in the cold. Show me to live on my own. Know these people want you in a halo. Yeah, these words, they hit you like a Draco. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. There's just been some things that I can't avoid. Maybe I'm just being paranoid. There's just been some things that I can't avoid. Yeah, I'm on my way. Popped another pill, got me feeling out of space. Seeing all these stars like I'm in a ray. Check my wrist, it's another face. Yeah, AP Scully, ain't got no case. Running these kicks, I ain't catching no case. VVS Simons, dripping the face. As I fade. Feeling like I'm on the side. We staying up, feeling. Fucking all in my bed, yeah. Seeing your feelings, fucking all in my leg, yeah. Seeing your feelings, I don't wanna wait.
Hey, what's up, guys? This is Ariane Celeste.
This is Larry Neymar, the founder of E! Entertainment Television.
Hi, this is Maricela Cornejo.
Hey, how's it going? This is Polo Molina.
Hey, yo, what's up? This is the Xander Effect, and I am the DJ KID, the Kid Capri. Welcome to the place to be.
It's all because of you. It's all because of you. It's all because of you. 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 It's all because of you. Because of you.
That was Allie's Because of You right here on the Xander Effect. In sports, the Dodgers have made it to the World Series, and I cannot be happier. I mean, we have the Lakers that won the NBA championship. I mean, is it possible that LA might have two champions, in our midst? I mean, that'd be huge. I mean, if only the Chargers or the Rams would actually do something, that'd be a different story. But yeah, so far it looks like we got everything locked as far as basketball goes. Will we have everything locked for baseball as well? I mean, right now it was an incredible series between the Dodgers and the Braves, so much so that Cody Bellinger dislocated his shoulder in a home run celebration. I mean, he claims that he's good, but he did hear something pop as soon as he celebrated with his friends and everything, with his players and everything. So, but man, I mean, this is definitely something that we were expecting. The Dodgers, they're very hungry to get back into the World Series contention. Can they win it though? Will they win it this time? Will they actually close the deal? That is the real question, you guys. I mean, what do you guys think?
Jeremy, I'll let you speak first because this is personal for you.
You got it. Truthfully, I'm absolutely thrilled that they made it through. They came back from a 3-1 deficit against a very strong, young Atlanta Braves squad. I'm very happy that Dave Roberts managed to stay out of his own way in handling the bullpen and the pitchers. Unfortunately, it was still very nail-biting time because he did what Dave Roberts tends to do, and he didn't trust the arms that have gotten us here. The Dodgers have the best bullpen in the league. Now, they've struggled a little bit in the postseason, but they had the best ERA, one of the highest rates of strikeout, one of the lowest rates of walks all through the season. And yet, we get to game 4, I believe it was, 4 or 5, and he decides, let's throw Clayton Kershaw out there when he's not 100% healed from the back injury he's dealing with.
Yep.
And then, of course, Kershaw implodes. I wonder why. He's pitching injured. And now the Dodgers are down 3-1. That's a problem for me. And then there's rumors that he was considering pitching him in Game 7 on short rest. That's just stupid. Anybody who knows anything about baseball will tell you that's stupid. And yet he was still considering it. These are the things that worry me as a Dodgers fan. These are the reasons why I wanted Dave Roberts let go 2 years ago. He is a wonderful manager in a lot of ways, but he does not seem to know how to manage a bullpen and his pitchers properly. And that still very much worries me going up against a really tough squad like Tampa Bay. Now, no, Tampa Bay is not the big name. It's not the Yankees. It's not the Astros, who a lot of Dodger fans were hoping to get a little revenge on. It's not the Red Sox. It's not any of the East Coast royalty. But what people don't seem to realize, or at least people who aren't big baseball fans who were following this whole year, these are the two teams everybody expected. These were the two favorites in both leagues. The Tampa Bay Devil Rays were favored over every other team, the Yankees, the Sox, everybody. These were the two best teams. We have number one in the National League versus number one in the American League. So this is not a shock to anybody who really follows baseball. They are the carbon copy of us on a smaller budget. Everything we do really well, they do just a fraction less well. It's a very eerily similar team. The one place we have a huge advantage on them is offense. That's the only place where we really, as a team, have a large discrepancy, and that worries me because with a manager that you can't really trust to manage your arms, man, their pitchers could just outshine us. If their manager manages their pitchers better, I'm still really worried about this. I think offensively, we should be able to just wipe the floor with this team. But I am always a little hesitant when, like I said, I don't have full faith in our manager, unfortunately.
Wow. Well, I really think that I'll just add my 2 cents or more. And I think it's really cool that this is all happening and has happened under the umbrella of the pandemic right now. The fact that these guys have been in a bubble and away from their families and have sort of had to create a family within the team. I listened to some of the post game and just the excitement. I'm really excited for LA. I'm also excited, and I think it's kind of cool that they'll be continuing to host the drive-in viewing of the World Series, where people can pay, from what I understand, if you choose to do so in your car, $75 per car to watch the game on the big screens at Dodger Stadium parking lot. So that way fans can still sort of feel like they're involved. I think it's still sad that they can't experience it the regular way, but I do think that it's pretty exciting. The Dodgers, listen, I haven't really been following that much. If I root for baseball, I tend to lean toward my hometown team, the Pirates. But the Dodgers better win. That's all I'm going to say. They better win.
It's definitely going to be a toss-up. I mean, like Jeremy said, I mean, they're very similar. So it's going to be an interesting series to watch. That's for damn sure. But obviously, we got to root for the home team, and here's hoping that the Dodgers, make waves and actually get the job done this time. This time
32 years and counting, baby.
Hey, you know what though? This time there cannot be any excuses. There's not going to be any controversy afterward. Everything is going to be just left out on that field. The way it's supposed to be.
Hey guys, just a little bit of baseball trivia and history. How long had it taken Chicago, the Cubs, to win?
It was 108 years, I believe.
Yeah, this guy's a freaking human encyclopedia.
Yeah, well, I don't want to wait 108 years, okay? I'm not planning on being here that long. I want it now. I'll give you a little story. I was supposed to be at that 88 game.
Oh, man.
I'm not kidding.
With Tommy Lasorda?
I was supposed to be there for that game. My dad's work buddy had season tickets, and he was not going to be using them. He was unable to make the game, and he gave the 2 tickets to my dad, and my dad was going to be taking me. Here's the problem. He forgot to bring the tickets to work to give to my dad. And he promised that after work, he was going to run home, pick them up, and drop them off at my dad's house. And he didn't. We ended up not being there. So
the disappointment.
Would have been awesome to be there to see the shot heard around the world, and I would have loved to have been there for that part of Dodger history. But man, it's been a long time in coming, and people don't realize the Dodgers were one of the most consistent franchises for decades. From the 1950s on, the Dodgers won at least 2 World Series every decade.
And this is before they became the LA Dodgers, right? This is when they were the Brooklyn Dodgers still, right?
Yeah, that was when they won their first championship. But every decade from the 50s on, they won at least 2 championships, 2 World Series. One of the most consistent franchises through that period of time. So to have a 32-year drought in such a major market,
it's tough.
And to have it honestly be a reflection of the mismanagement of the team for so long, it's really a long time in coming, and anybody who bleeds Dodger blue has been absolutely chomping at the bit for this.
Oh yeah, totally. And man, you bring back the 80s Dodgers. I mean, you're talking about the Lasorda era, the freaking Tommy Lasorda era,
Lasorda,
Fernando Valenzuela. That was the team. That was the team, bro.
It was one of the great teams, great arms, and again, people don't realize this. If the Dodgers are able to pull this off, this will be one of the first times that they've won as a true favorite. The Dodgers have a tendency to win their championships as underdogs, and people don't realize going into the 88 season, they were a huge underdog. I don't think we had anybody bat over 300 that year.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't have, I mean, we had great pitchers, you know, the Bulldog, Oral Hershiser setting his records. All those things went right for us, but it was a gritty, scrappy team who won by doing the little things. They didn't have huge superstar names throughout the lineup. I mean, they beat the Oakland A's, who had McGuire and Canseco and Ricky Henderson and Dave Stewart and all these guys, and the Dodgers were the plucky little underdog.
And that's the truth. And the thing is that, like, I mean, I'm just, you know, this is the third consecutive trip to the World Series.
3 out of 4. 3 out of 4.
3 out of 4.
We didn't go last year.
Oh, I thought we went last year. Okay.
No, Washington took us out in the.
Oh, that's right. That's right. Yes. That's right. That's right. But yeah, I mean, we've been consistent in going to the World Series. You know, these past few years. I mean, minus last year. We have to close. We have to close it. Yeah. We have to close. We cannot be known as the team that never closes the deal. This is ridiculous. So,
you mean the Braves? Oh, sorry. Is it too soon?
I think it's too soon. But yeah, we need to get in there. We need to get in there. We need to win. And I think, like I said with the Lakers, I have a feeling that this could be it. This could be it. So we'll just have to wait and see. Game 1 is coming up. We'll go ahead and see how they do game 1, and you know, every game after that. So we'll have to wait.
One game at a time.
One game at a time. In other sports news, a very sore subject for me. The Packers lose against Tampa Bay. Let me tell you this much right now. I hate it when number 12 loses against number 12. And when I say number 12, I mean Aaron Rodgers loses against freaking Tom Brady. I keep bringing that up. So yeah, and it was even more of a slap in the face after Aaron Rodgers went ahead and did the Hingle McCringleberry celebration. It was just too early to celebrate, because shortly after that, Tampa Bay came back with a fury, and it was their defense just could not let the Packers get anything done. You know, but Rodgers pretty much, you know, he sees it as a good thing. He sees it as something that they needed. They lost 30-10. Really bad loss. But you know, he basically said it was, quote, we needed a kick in the ass a little bit, because they got a little bit cocky. I mean, I'm assuming that the Packers are thinking, okay, well, this is Tom Brady, and this isn't his team. This isn't the Patriots anymore. So we'll be able to do a lot more. Wrong, very wrong. It was something that that definitely shook the Packers, and even Matt LaFleur, Coach Matt LaFleur, he even said for the Packers, he even said, quote, our practice this week was not up to our standard. The guys have developed the first year and a half. That's what happened today. You practice like crap. You go out and play like crap. He didn't mince words. He was straight up with it, and that's something that I kind of admire off of Coach LaFleur. But yeah, it was a tough loss for the Packers, and hopefully, the Packers had a week off, so hopefully they'll take this loss and run with it. And mistakes were made, and they'll go ahead and rectify those mistakes in the coming weeks.
I gotta say, I was rather shocked. Rodgers is not known as a showboat.
Yeah. Tell me about it.
And to see him celebrate that early only to turn around and throw, 2 or 3 interceptions?
Yep.
Now, I know one of them was the tip ball, so you can't really put that on him. Yeah. But the other one was a pretty bad interception. And that's, him losing focus, whatever it was. But to celebrate that early and then play so poorly after that, and given you got to give Tampa's defense credit, it was a little shocking to see coming from Aaron. He usually is the type who can raise his game to a higher level, but hey, let's throw a little praise to Tampa's way. They're starting to get it together a little bit. Maybe Tom's feeling a little more comfortable in the offense, and let's not forget, the Pack could not stop RJ3, man.
Yeah.
Ronald Jones was running all over that defense. Yep. And if you give Tom Brady a running back to take some pressure off of him, that changes the ball game a lot.
Most definitely. Yeah, it was definitely something that was a shock to all of us, and I don't know. It's crazy. I mean, Lonni, you're a Pittsburgh fan. Your team's doing well. Your team's undefeated. You're happy. I mean, what's your take on this type of a loss for the Packers?
Last year we didn't have a good season. Last season, our season, and the Packers are 4-1. They'll bounce back. It's still early. That's what I say. Hey, I did not see Aaron Rodgers. What did he do when he celebrated? What did he do? What's the big deal, you guys?
Jeremy, you want to take that one?
No, you can explain it.
Basically, he went into the end zone and did kind of a hip thrust. Really? Again, it's something that's uncharacteristic for Aaron Rodgers. He never does anything like that, and it was just so out of place, and it was talked about all through social media. Everybody was talking about it. I mean, it was crazy because he did the Hinkleberry thing, and Hinkleberry, I believe that's from Key and Peele, and he did the same thrust that Hinkleberry did on there, and that's what they were talking about. I guess he's trying to let go of the discount double check that he used to do whenever he got in the end zone, whenever he got a touchdown. So he's trying to do something new, but I guess that came back and bit him in the ass, because they lost 38-10. And that's something else that they were talking about afterward, saying that, you celebrated a little bit premature there, buddy. You might want to, calm down, because last year, as everybody knows, we were undefeated for the majority of the season. It was only until later on in the season that we started getting losses here and there. So I think that maybe the Packers felt the same way this year, that they were going to have, a great undefeated streak for longest time, maybe even go all the way undefeated. Maybe that was their thought process, and they got a little bit cocky, like really cocky, and that was something that pretty much was talked about, and that's what social media was a buzz about. The fact of the matter that Aaron Rodgers was celebrating, he was pretty much talking crap to the other team. Him and Sue also had some words as well, but their rivalry stems from I was gonna say
their feud goes way back.
Yeah, because Sue pretty much has, treated Aaron Rodgers like crap. He's stepped on his hand.
You gotta remember that was during Sue's he was a scumbag during that time. I'll say that right now.
Is, to be honest. I don't like that guy.
Honestly, he has gotten it under control. He has not been that same dirty player for the last 3 or 4 years.
True.
made some changes, and I have some respect for that. But he, at one time, was a scumbag player. He went out of his way to try and injure people. He stepped on multiple guys with, sharp cleats. He went after Rodgers' hand. He went after a receiver's groin. He stepped on a guy's head. If the guy didn't have a face mask, he would have permanently scarred him.
Oh, yeah.
This
No,
guy
he was very dirty.
A complete scumbag at one point.
Yeah, he was very dirty.
And unfortunately, at that time, he was with the Lions, who are one of the Packers' biggest rivals. Yep. And Aaron Rodgers was subject to a lot of his dirty play. So no matter if he's changed or not, Rodgers hates that guy.
Oh, yeah, because he tried to end his career. I mean, you don't this guy's 500 pounds of nothing but fatness.
He's a big boy.
And he goes ahead while Rodgers is on the floor. He steps on Rodgers' hand with cleats.
Oh my goodness.
Puts all his weight on there. I mean, you even saw in slow motion the agony in Rodgers' face. Ow, dude! What are you doing? That's his career right there. That's a career ender. The quarterback's hands, they need that to throw the ball.
Oh, yeah.
And here comes this idiot and puts his cleats and steps on the man's hands. That's his livelihood. You don't do that. There's dirty play, and there's just downright just being an asshole about it. Trying to go ahead and destroy someone's career. How would he like it if somebody came and clipped his freaking ankles or broke his knees on purpose? It would be well deserved, because somebody like that deserves a wake-up call like that, and that's why I don't like Sue. I never like Sue, and like Rodgers, I'm never going to like that guy. I don't like dirty players like that, because that's taking it too far. You're messing with a person's career at that point. I
have never liked anybody who is going to risk someone's career. In all sports, sometimes a message needs to be sent.
Agreed.
I'll compare it to baseball. A pitcher needs to plunk someone occasionally. You have to protect your team. What you don't do is put a 95 mile an hour fastball into somebody's ear. Because you are not only risking their life, you are risking their career.
Yep.
When you do something like that, you put it in their hip or their ribs or their leg. Any reputable pitcher who has to send a message like that does that. You do not risk someone's career or life. There have been players who took a fastball to the head who have gone blind, who've never played a game again. There have been players who took a fastball in the head who have died. You don't do that stuff. There are ways to send a message. There are ways to stand up for your team without risking somebody's livelihood and life.
Yeah, and let me give you an example. My dad, he actually told me of a baseball that zoomed right past his head and actually shaved a portion of his hair. That's how fast that ball was going. So you can imagine the speed and the weight of that ball going. It's almost like a bullet, practically.
Oh, yeah.
Like a rubber bullet that hits your head. It could cause some serious damage, like Jeremy pointed out. And that's just, like I said, there's a difference between sending a message, or like you said, Jeremy, there's a difference between sending a message and just being downright, just awful. Just bad intentions behind everything you do, So yeah, that was crazy. That was another rivalry that was on the field as well, because now Sue is with Tampa Bay as well, and it was a crazy game, and unfortunately, the Packers are gonna have to regroup and figure some things out, but it is what it is. It's a loss. We move forward, just like we move forward with fantasy football, huh, Jeremy?
Oy vey. Yeah, fantasy football. I hope you all are still enjoying your season.
Likewise.
I have come to an amazing realization now that I am no longer a part of fantasy football this year, and we'll get into that in a moment. I really don't care much for pro football anymore. If it wasn't for fantasy football, I really wouldn't. I don't have much interest. I'm still following it. I'm still, just because I'm a sports guy, but my real passion is just always going to be college football, and in particular, as you know, the great USC Trojans. But it's really interesting to see, because the morning after I chose to leave our league, I woke up the next morning, and instead of jumping on the stats like I normally would and checking out all the day's scores, I woke up, I had my coffee, I just read the general news, and I didn't really give football a second thought. It was quite nice, actually.
Nice.
It was a nice moment where I was like, oh, crap, this doesn't have to rule my life. But yes, I did decide to leave our league.
Hey, I'm glad that you are no longer in it anymore. It's freeing. Now you understand why I'm not into it.
And just to go ahead and echo Jeremy, I mean, I didn't necessarily leave the league. I was unfairly forced out. And it's funny. It's a very interesting thing because it's one of those things where it's like, when you don't do anything, absolutely nothing that violates any rules, it's kind of messed up. You know, when you're forced out of a league, when you haven't done anything, you haven't violated, you haven't cheated, you haven't insulted, you haven't done anything to deserve to be kicked out the way I was.
Well, when you have somebody who goes off on a power trip,
true,
and you have somebody who begins being abusive, which is, you know, fantasy football, especially amongst friends, part of the fun is the ball busting. Part of the fun is messing with each other and ragging on each other, but it is done in a fun spirit. We had somebody who actually became malicious, started getting personal, and it had nothing to do with fantasy football.
Exactly.
And as you know me, I don't have any room in my life for that type of negativity. I have no room in my life for people being assholes, except for you, of course, because you do it so well.
Well, yes, of course, duh.
But, you know, I have friends, I have family, I have people who I can understand when they're going through certain things. I will tolerate it for a while. But I have my boundaries, I have my lines. And this particular person is somebody who mattered not at all to me. And there's no reason for me to put up with any of that BS. So I very nicely and very calmly said, you know, take care, enjoy your season. I'm going to back out. You know, please feel free to do whatever you want with my team. Was very kind about it and was attacked through text for the next 10, 15 minutes until I finally said, okay, I'm not going to be nice anymore. And my final text was just, okay, go fuck yourself. Big smiley face.
And here's the thing. See, out of respect for the friendship that I had with this person, Jeremy actually was being cordial. He was biting his tongue the entire time. But unfortunately, this person tends to not let things go and just, you know, basically squash it, leave it alone, let it go, move forward. No, this person likes to continue to hammer the subject, continue to badger, continue to not ask questions as they put it in their in the message boards, because this person put aired out all of the dirty laundry between Jeremy and this other person, and pretty much try to make themselves look like the victim. Like, I was only asking questions. Well, I don't know why he got upset. But hold on, Jeremy. Okay. Let me just finish. This person saying that is BS, because that's typical of a person that wants people to sympathize with them. And that's what this person said. It's like, I was just asking questions. No, sir. You were not asking questions. You were interrogating, like if Jeremy was some sort of criminal. Because why? Why do I know this? Because that person did the same to me. And another thing, if you
you guys are making me not want to be part of this ever. Go on.
Yeah, exactly. And here's the other thing. If you don't want me to go ahead and relay a certain message that you had said about Jeremy behind their back, then don't say it. Okay? Now, this person pretty much accused me of gossiping. Well, who started the gossip? You or me? By talking smack about a friend of mine. And yes, although we are friends, I'm also friends with Jeremy as well. Do you honestly think that I'm not going to be a little upset about that, about what you're saying? If you have something to say to this person, you go ahead and have the balls to say it to that person's face. It's that simple. I don't care if you try to hide under the blanket of, well, I don't know that person that well. No. If you don't know that person that well, then don't start talking crap about that person to begin with. It's that simple. Okay. So yes, Jeremy left. I was kicked out only because I did not stand up for that other person when Jeremy told him to go F himself. It was that simple. And the reason why, and I told him this and through an email, and then I blocked that email right afterward. I told him, I said, I didn't stand up for you because it was basically what I said was, it was wrong what you did. You didn't just question, you interrogated. And then on top of that, you aired all your grievances on the message board. And of course, he's got yes men and sheep that follow him. And they're going to be like, oh yeah, you're so right. These guys are all guys from high school that will go ahead and follow each other to, the ends of the earth. But however, Jeremy does have a couple of friends as well that were on our league that saw these message boards and they were like, this is highly inappropriate what he's doing. I'm like, I agree, because this isn't right. He's acting like a child. He's acting like a 5-year-old, like somebody that didn't get their toy and is pissed because is having a tantrum. It's that it boils down simply to that. So, my message to that person is act your age, not your shoe size. Well, it's that simple.
My thing is, and this is really my little bit of advice, or please don't do this for other people, is that, yeah, he acted like an idiot. And as I said, without you bringing it up or the other guys in our league bringing it up, as soon as I ended the conversation, I didn't give this person a second thought. Mm-hmm. It just mattered that little to me. But if you are going to air dirty laundry, whether you are doing this with a friend or not, whether you're doing this in a message board or not, if you're going to share a conversation,
share everything,
share both sides of the conversation.
Agreed.
Because what this person chose to do was edit out all of their comments and only post what I responded to make themselves look good. If you make a habit of doing that, you are an awful person and you are a coward. If you have the audacity to post that conversation and you're so sure you're right, then you need to post both sides of that conversation. That is an absolute cowardly act. It really is.
And it's great that you pointed that out, because I actually pointed that out in the email as well. When I sent it to this person, I told them, I said, you only posted something to favor you. You didn't post your side of the conversation. If you're going to go ahead and do that, like you said, Jeremy, I told him that. If you're going to go ahead and do that, post both sides, okay? Post your line of questioning and then let the others decide whether or not you were in the right or in the wrong in a fair manner. But what you did was you only posted one side of the story so that way it can make you look like the victim. That's classic. That's a classic move for people that, that try to manipulate. And you don't do that. You should not do that at all. And that was wrong for what he did. Last I heard, he also was going to go ahead and post everything that I said. I was like, go ahead, because you know what? The way I worded it, it's going to be kind of hard for you to actually come out looking like a good guy. Because unless, of course, you decide to edit a bunch of stuff out, which in general, it'll make no sense whatsoever. It'll look like gibberish. But at the end of the day,
the whole point of this is, guys, this is supposed to be fun.
Okay? Yeah, exactly.
It's fantasy football. It's a pastime. It is, there's no reason to get so crazy.
Fun, you guys. This sounds like
it was work. I'll be honest with you, and Jeremy, just to echo you again, the next day I was looking more forward to just watching my freaking Packers. I was like back to Packer mode. I was back to like watching everything. I was like, cool. I don't have to worry whether or not, especially yesterday after what happened. I'm so happy that's not my team anymore, because it was so bad. I mean, I was hoping that, oh yeah, the week is done. Aaron Jones will come back kicking butt. I would have lost this week. I think I would have lost this week because Jones is just not doing it. And he was part of my fantasy. I mean, well, Evans was doing it, but Jones wasn't. But
for Lonni, mm-hmm. I know you brought up that this doesn't sound fun. I have to tell you, I've been playing fantasy football for over, 25 years now.
Uh-huh.
I've been in a league, multiple leagues, every year since I started playing. This is my first bad experience in a fantasy football league. It's the first bad season I've had. And unfortunately, it came down to one person's ego getting in the way.
Yeah.
So it's a rare thing. I've had many friends who play. You don't hear a lot of horror stories like this. And the truth is, it's not the end of the world. I'm not as into the NFL as I was. I'm not quite following it as closely now that I'm not in fantasy football anymore. But next year, I'm going to join a league again, and I will begin the process again because it's something I do very much enjoy. It's a pastime I enjoy.
Cool.
Me too.
And sounds like it was just a bad league or bad group that you were involved in.
It just wasn't a great group from the start. I really came in because it was Xander who brought me into the league. He was the only person I knew in the league. And I didn't know anything about these people's personalities or the dynamics between everyone. So I was unaware of the kind of cabal of one side of this league and how they all kind of work together. I'm not saying collude, but how they always kind of look out for each other.
They have their own little fraternity.
Well, an example would be if one of these people makes a mistake or does something that was not completely on the up and up, it's generally viewed as, oh, well, it's understandable. They made a mistake and it's no big deal.
Yeah.
So anyway, it just, if Xander and I are outside the circle and we do that exact same thing, then it's, why are you being shady? Why are you trying to pull one over on us? Why are you trying to, and it's like, why you guys got to come at it from that angle?
Right.
And the truth is, it's been like that since I joined this league. So there were some red flags there and some warning signs that I ignored.
And to be honest with you, it was something that also was bothering me because I've even known many of these guys since high school. And even in high school, it seemed like they had their own little clique, their own little group, and I was always an outsider. And that's pretty much how I felt for this league as well, because even though this particular person had really bad falling out with one of their good friends, he still coddled this person. I mean, he was, this person that he had the falling out with was in the league with his wife and everything, and it just seemed like they were colluding. And when I pointed it out, this person would say, oh, well, they're not really colluding. I mean, if you look at their numbers and everything, it just makes sense. It's like, they're husband and wife. They live together. So if one wins, the other one wins either way. That should not be allowed in the league, but whatever. It is what it is. I'm not going to, I'm not going to cry over spilled milk. It's done. Right. It's over with. We move on. We'll still go ahead and talk about fantasy football. We'll still go ahead and chat about that because, it is football season and it is pertinent to this particular show. So we'll go ahead and continue to talk about that and move forward. In other sports news, the UFC definitely had a great card this week. I mean, we saw Brian Ortega beat Chan Sung Jung in a decision, 5 rounds. It was definitely like a good old JR would say, it was a slobber knocker. So I mean, it was a good one, but all of this pales in comparison to the upcoming fight between Justin Gaethje and Khabib Nurmagomedov's. This is a title fight, and man, I'm looking forward to that because Justin Gaethje is definitely doing a great job with being a great champion, and it's definitely a fight to look forward to right now. And man, I'm counting the days until that happens.
I think it'll be a really good fight. We haven't seen Nurmagomedov in a while, but I do remember him taking apart McGregor pretty easily, and the man has looked amazingly solid. So not sure if Gaethje can bring enough to the table to put him down. Man, Nurmagomedov is a beast, and
just call him Khabib.
Well, and it's coming from that region. And this is the thing that Conor McGregor did not understand, is there is a fierce pride in their fighting. as a culture, as an ethnicity, there is a fierce pride in their fighting and in their family and in representing their family and culture in this sport. And to ridicule that in any way, to put that down in any way, is to basically court disaster, because these guys take it as, as you're challenging their manhood. Khabib he has a drive to win that you rarely see even some of the greatest champions aren't driven the way this man seems to. So you already know who my pick is. As good as Gaethje is, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, and the thing is that, at this point, I'm also, here's the thing, I'm kind of torn, because Gaethje, he's driven, he's ready to go, but we have Khabib that he lost his father to COVID, and his father was also his coach. How is that going to play in his head? Is that going to drive him further to win it for his father, or is that going to affect his fighting? These are two things that are gonna get into his head. It's gonna be, the coaches that he have, obviously, they're gonna take over, and they're going to really coach him, really know what to do. But that's not gonna take the place of his father. That's never gonna take the place of his father. They are never gonna take the place of his father. So how is that going to play with his game plan? That's what has me a little bit torn between these two. You have one fighter that has no issues whatsoever. He's good to go. He's ready to go. And then you have another fighter that, although he's incredible, undefeated in the sport, that's coming in off of a tragic loss over a virus that has affected the world entirely. How is that going to mess with his head too?
That's the thing. You never know. You really don't.
It could be motivation for him.
Well, that's what I was going to say, is I really believe, because of who he is and what he's shown in his attitude, he was already a man that I felt comfortable saying would rather die in the ring than lose. Wow. Now he has to represent his father and the man who helped bring him to where he is. He's one of those true, there's very few fighters, even some of the greats, that I would say would rather die in the ring than lose. But I really believe that about this man. So I think it's going to be a motivation. I think he is going to want to raise his game to a level even he has never seen before. That's my true belief.
Well, we have yet to see. Again, looking forward to that fight that's going to be coming up very soon in the next couple of weeks. And man, that's going to be again, using one of JR's quotes, it's going to be a barn burner. So we'll go ahead
and since we weren't here last week, can we talk really quickly about that amazing kick by Joaquin Buckley?
Oh yeah.
That was one of the prettiest knockouts I have ever seen. Lonni, if you have not seen a clip of it, it is just Google Joaquin Buckley, and it is just an amazing kick. It's not the most brutal or most amazing knockout, but the kick is spectacular.
Nuts. Yeah,
everybody who's a fight fan, their jaws were on the ground.
I saw it. I was like, "Ooh, that was good," but ow!
It was one of the most creative kicks I've ever seen.
What was it like he turned around or did a flip and kicked him? It was a weird kick.
His opponent caught his leg.
Yeah,
he caught the kick, and Buckley used the leverage of him holding his leg
to knock him out
with the other leg and kick him in the face
and knock him out.
One of the most amazing kicks I've ever seen.
It was awesome. It was really, really cool. Like, I saw it, I was like, dude, that's something I would see like choreographed in a movie or something.
And let's just say that is not a move that any martial art actually
very
teaches.
Unorthodox.
That is something that he came up with on the spot. That is creativity.
Well, that's something
you guys are making me think of Cobra Kai. That's the only kicking I've been watching.
Well, that's right. Well, that's the thing, is that in martial arts, they always teach us improvise, pretty much. If something doesn't go your way, improvise. Find a way to make it go your way. That's at least how I was taught. is that, if this move isn't working, or if the person that's attacking you is using something else, improvise. Find a way out of there. Find a way out of that, to make sure that, you come out on top. And that's something that he did, apparently. He improvised, because that's a very unorthodox move that he used. And it was legal. It was perfectly legal. And he knocked his opponent out with it. So, yeah, it was definitely, good bringing up that one. And again, going back to Khabib, looking forward to that fight. So lots going to be going on in the next few weeks. So we'll see what happens with that. Coming up next in video game news, NBA 2K21 quietly starts adding unskippable ads to their games, something that many people, including myself, are not too happy with. We'll talk a little bit about that. But first, here is AB.
What's going on? It's Amanda Holly.
Hey, Jeremy Miller from Growing Pains here.
This is Maxim Waddle Riley Sawyer.
And you're listening.
to the Xander Effect.
Pink t-shirts, faded Georgia place. Right back to the summer, burning up the place. All night on the Broadway strip, guitar case open with no dollar to tip. All lit up like the neon lights. In 18 years I never felt so high. When I think about Nashville, windows down on your Cadillac, I think about the sunset dripping down a summer sky, sipping on a moonshine I'll never forget. When I think about landslides and how I built my life around you, I ain't afraid of change and not a radio station, not a thing from my past about you. When I think about Nashville, I hope you think of me too. Down that golden road with Keith Urban, who wouldn't wanna be me? That's for certain. Shotgun seat, the key top off, sun-kissed skin, and we're rocking along. All night on that Broadway strip, guitar case open with no dollar to tip. All lit up like the neon lights. In 18 years I never felt so high. When I think about Nashville, windows down on your Cadillac, I think about the sunset dripping down a summer sky, sipping on a moonshine I'll never forget. When I think about landslides and how I built my life around you, I ain't afraid of change and not a radio station, not a thing from my past about you. When I think about Nashville, I hope you think of me too. Forever, always, the big and small ways you let me love you. When I think about Nashville, windows down on your Cadillac, I think about a sunset dripping down a summer sky, sipping on a moonshine I'll never forget. When I think about landslides and how I built my life around you, I ain't afraid of change and not a radio station, not a thing from my past about you. When you think about Nashville, bet you think of me too. Bet you think of me too. Bet you think of me too.
That was Kimberly Dawn's Nashville right here on the Xander Effect. In video game news, looks like NBA 2K21 is trying to pull a fast one on all us gamers by putting ads into loading screens and making the loading screens go a little bit longer so that way the ads could finish. Now, I have an issue with this because I paid for a game not to have ads on it. I mean, come on. You guys are making millions upon millions of dollars off of games themselves. You don't need to put on ads in there because that's just going to turn off gamers away from you. I mean, we already see enough ads as it is on television from our favorite shows, commercials, whatever you want. We don't need to see it in video games too. That's overkill at this point. And it's becoming annoying to many gamers, including myself. I don't like that. I will not stand for it, and I just won't play the game. I just won't do it. You know, it's just an annoyance, and that's something that needs to be, rectified immediately because apparently I'm not the only gamer that's complaining about that. Many gamers are complaining about that right now. And, EA is going to have to go ahead and make some changes with something with that. I mean, that's something that we don't need.
It's the way of the world right now. I mean, every time you play or air something, it seems online, there's an ad. It's crazy.
Yeah, but Lonni, the problem here is that we paid for this game. It can't be the way of the world with that, because when we pay for a game, I mean, these games usually run anywhere from $60 to $100. If we're gonna pay, if we're going to pay $60 to $100 for a game, we're going to want it our way. We're not going to want it their way. And their way is by putting ads. No. You don't do that. You do that with like freemium games, you know, games that you don't pay for, games like for apps and stuff like that. Yeah, I could see why some of these games have ads, and yes, they're annoying, but they're free. But these games are not free. We pay for them. We pay good money for them. And we even like pay in-game purchases, you know, like for example, if we want to go ahead and improve our team, we go ahead and pay, for points, for coins. Like for example, in Madden Ultimate Team, I pay for points in order to go ahead and pay for packs, so that way I could go ahead and improve my team, which by the way also is BS, because when you go ahead and pay for, I have a gripe with Madden and with the EA about that too, is that when you pay for something and it's pretty expensive, you expect your team to be better than the other. When it's not, you wonder, why the hell did I even pay for this if it's not going to go ahead and make a difference, if I'm still going to get my butt kicked? You know, I pay for this for a reason, so that way I don't. It's a fair, and I don't get my butt kicked. You know, or at least
I'll bring it to another. Sorry to interrupt. I'll bring it to another thing as well, in that one of gamers' biggest pet peeves is long loading screen times.
Oh yeah.
I mean, what is the thing that every time they come out with a next generation of hardware, one of the things they talk about every time is, oh, the loading times are going to be faster. We've cut the loading times. It's going to load quicker. It's a big selling point. And now you have a game that's actually going to extend the loading times to try and make more money off of you when you're already giving them your hard-earned dollars. This is going to face a major backlash. This is, even without the ads, already one of the number one pet peeves of most gamers. And you're going to not only make it worse, but you're going to try and profit off of it as well. No, gamers are not going to respond well to this. Nope. And seems like a lot of gamers are already starting to speak out about it. So again, Lonni, these are gamer #gamer problems. You don't really know much about, but trust me, if you were a gamer, you would know. Trust me.
I guess for me, I'm just thinking, I turn on a Netflix movie, or I'm watching various things that I pay for, and there's always an advertisement that comes up.
Agreed. And that's something
it happens all the time. I'm just speaking from that perspective.
Yeah.
It's
so
annoying. I get it.
Yeah, so it's BS, and hopefully EA will get the picture, they'll get the point, and they'll start making some changes for their games and make sure that they don't do that for gamers, because that's not right. That's BS. So we'll see what happens. We'll see what EA does about that. That's the news, in case you haven't heard it. Thank you so much for listening to the Xander Effect. I'd like to go ahead and thank Lonni for being on the show. Lonni, thank you again for being here.
Thank you.
And
Thanks,
of course,
guys, great being here.
And of course, the other guy.
Yeah, it's always great being here to treat you poorly. Lonni, always wonderful talking with you.
Great talking with you, Jeremy and Xander.
Yeah. See, I like Lonni. You, Jeremy, I just tolerate.
That's all right. You have to tolerate me.
I love you. The love is there. But thanks everybody for listening. Remember, remember that we're still in a pandemic. Remember, we still need to be wearing masks. We need to watch each other's backs. We need to protect each other. Wear your masks in public. Goggles if you got them, gloves if you got them. Practice, hygiene. Make sure you wash your hands. If you go out, touch things, don't touch your face. Wash your hands thoroughly before you try to touch your face or anything like that. Do it for yourself. Do it for your loved ones. And remember to go vote. That's something that we've been pushing majorly on the Xander Effect. Go vote. Your voice does matter. Your opinions do matter. Everything does matter. You have the power to make change, and make that change for all of us, whether it be one way or another. Whatever you think is right, do it and make it right. And remember, music always heals all. We'll see you next time.
Yeah. I was like open that mouth. She talking and open that mouth.
The Xander Effect is powered by 50/50 Global Music Inc., Sony Music The Orchard, and BMG Bertelsmann. In association with Art 19 Media.